Hello and welcome back to episode 3 of The Forgotten City. I'm Vic and you're watching yet another Let's Play channel. I don't think I've commented on it yet, but I'm feeling like this Forgotten City is much larger than the one that I previously visited. Yeah, I know, I promised that we were going to go look at the zip line, and we are, but, you know, we got to look at some more bottles of fish sauce first. Don't steal anything, don't hurt anyone, don't. Wait a minute. Have I already walked this way? I have, haven't I? Yeah. Alright. Have I been in here? I don't think I've been in here. This looks kind of temple-y, doesn't it? We'll come back to that. First zipline, then temple. If I don't go do the zipline now, I'm going to forget about it until who knows when. And when am I going to find my way to the bottom of that chasm so I can take some weapon and go beat up the peeled statue? Yeah, there it is. That's... no. A relief depicting a great circular portal of Proserpina, the Roman goddess of the cycle of life and renewal. Her story is a grim one. It's said she was abducted by Pluto and forced into marriage against her will. Well, too bad she couldn't just start the time loop over again, huh? Alright, alright. Well, I wonder if that's going to turn out to be useful to me at some point. That zipline does look like it might be a bit heavy, but could be useful. These people do seem to think that it's, you know... Oh, I'm like halfway to being able to buy that bullshit from what's-her-name already. That's pretty cool. Okay, yes, the temple. Yeah, temple. How long can I sprint, anyway? What? Wait a minute. Oh. Okay. I thought I was going to be able to walk across that. Continue from last save. You mean it's not a time loop? Or does somebody have to commit the sin?
The newly arrived are ignorant of the road before them.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I know you do. I think I might need my help too. Temple. Well, I didn't lose very much physical ground. I can't remember if I missed out on talking to somebody, but... There's a skeleton in there. Excuse me, young woman. I would like to, get in there, please. Fine. Keep your secrets. Maybe I'll be able to do something about that later. If I destroy an immobile statue, does that count as doing a murder? The Myth of the Golden Rule by Duratus the Younger. As per our custom, I shall begin by paying my respects to the god responsible for this city. For our continued prosperity and tranquil seclusion, he deserves our admiration. He. But here I must depart from custom, for his attempt at opposing strict rule upon us is oppressive and overreaching and deserving of our contempt. Who among us has not awoken at night in a cold sweat, fearing some sort of accidental transgression of the Golden Rule? All of us must accept that we are all capable of error, whether from a momentary lapse in judgment or a conscious decision based on faulty reasoning. Yet the great threat, the sword of Damocles that we live under, is, I believe, merely a deception, and I shall prove it to you. Let me begin by dismissing the counter-arguments. First, it may be argued that the inscription stating the many shall suffer for the sins of the one is evidence that the Golden Rule is very real. But that is logically unsound, for we cannot assume the writers knew any more than we did. That this message was inscribed does not make it true, any more than if I were to inscribe, Duratus the Younger is a god. Second, it may be argued that the statues in this place are evidence that the Golden Rule is real. You need not remind me of that. It was I who discovered them all around this city. It was I who collected them, placed them in a handcart, and placed them in the niches in which they sit today. I will not soon forget them. And yet I refuse to leap to the conclusion that they were once real people. There is simply no evidence to support that conclusion. When we read the story of Venus bringing Pygmalion sculpture Galatea to life, we do not believe it is true. Why should we take a different view here? But ultimately, these arguments are just that. After years of living in fear, there is only one way for me to prove the Golden Rule is a falsehood, and that is through action. Friends, I apologize in advance for this, but one day you will see this moment as a turning point in our city's history. Let us see once and for all if the Golden Rule is real, as I strike one of you with my fist. Alright, I guess I'm taking that with me. That's great and all, but, ooh. Oh, this place is huge. Alright, I want to go talk to Lucretia, or whatever. I would like to do that, please. You got a weird little bump going on there, dude.
Salve, Dooley. How are you doing today?
I'm sad. Am I going to die?
I don't think so, my friend. It's election day today. Perhaps our new magistrate will be kinder than Sentius and let you out.
I hope so. Galerius, what happens when you die?
You're not going to die anytime soon, Dooley.
My mother told me, when you die, a ferryman helps you cross a river and your spirit lives on in the underworld. Is that true?
Well, yes, but...
Is it true that if you were good, you get to go to Elysium, but if you were bad, you get punished forever and ever in Tartarus?
Something like that, but...
If I die and go to Tartarus because they say I've been bad?
I'm not going to let that happen to you, Dooley. I promise.
Thank you, Galerius. Thank you.
Now, I have more work to do, but I'll visit you again soon, alright?
Alright, Galerius. See you then. Hello?
What's your story?
My name's Dooley. I live here now because I got in trouble and they said they had to lock me up.
What did you do?
I don't know. I don't remember things so good. I think it's just because I was looking for treasure.
Did someone think you were going to steal?
Yes. But I wasn't. I was just looking.
Is that all?
They said I did it more than once. But I can't remember things so good. Then they called me mean names. They called me a liar, Billy.
A liability?
Yes. They said I have to live here now, and gave me this letter. But I'm not good with words. Do you think you could read it for me?
Magistrate Sentius to Duilius, I'm writing to you in relation to your incorrigible antisocial behavior, arising from your obsession with an alleged lost treasure. While I am sympathetic to your plight and the passing of your guardian Hannibal some weeks ago, I wish to impress upon you an important message. The treasure you seek does not exist. Given your memory limitations, it seems likely you simply misremembered. More importantly, since you have on several occasions been caught trespassing, including around the cisterns, which are strictly off limits to all citizens, I have reluctantly come to the conclusion that you are a liability to this community, and must have your freedom limited, lest you break the golden rule. It is my hope that this letter will assist you to remember why you are incarcerated, should you experience further lapses in memory.
What does it say?
It says they caught you trespassing and locked you up.
My treasure.
What treasure?
My friend Hannibal used to look after me. He said he always would. But then, he died. It was very sad. He said, if anything ever happened to him, I had to find something very precious hidden away. He gave me this key and made me promise to keep it safe until I found the treasure. But I couldn't find it. All I remember is he said something about the cisterns. But when I went up to the high one, they put me in here. Now nobody looks after me. Except my friend Galerius. And Ek, the priestess lady. She's a nice lady.
If you give me the key, I can try to find out what it unlocks.
Hannibal said I shouldn't give it to anyone I didn't trust. But maybe you
Fortune
can help
smile
me
on
get
you,
out
brother.
of here. Then I would trust you a lot.
Let me talk to the magistrate.
Galerius already tried that. He said the magistrate wouldn't listen, no matter what.
Maybe it's time we had a new magistrate.
Like Galerius, he's nice. I like Galerius. He made me a doll and everything. If you help make him magistrate, he can get me out of here, and I can give you the key to my treasure. Hannibal said it was in the cisterns. I can't remember what it was, just that it was way up high and very precious.
I'll see what I can do. Do you know a way out of here?
You're going to let me out of here? Really?
Well, I can try.
Galerius already tried
Yeah.
that.
Uh-huh.
If you Hannibal
What do you think about the golden rule?
go, you mean treasure?
Never mind. I'll be going now.
Bye-bye.
A new face. Ave, and may Vesta watch over you. I'm Equitia. To what do I owe the pleasure of this visit?
What's your story?
Oh my. I take it people are quite direct where you're from. I suppose it's quite charming in its own way. Usually, however, you wouldn't simply march up to a Vestal priestess and without due formality or courtesy ask, "What is your story?"
Well, you snuck up behind me. What should I have done?
The proper approach would be to arrange an introduction through a mutual acquaintance in high office, by which time you would already know how to address me. And then you would find a way to satisfy your curiosity rather more indirectly. But to be honest, I've often thought what an unnecessarily formal way to communicate that is. So, let's do it your way. You just keep being yourself and ask whatever you like. It'll be a refreshing change.
How did you end up here?
You know, I'm not entirely sure. But what about you? How did you end up here?
A young woman named Karen dragged me out of a river and sent me in here.
Karen, you say? And nothing about that name seemed odd to you?
It carries negative connotations where I'm from.
Why is that?
Because of the memes.
The memes? What are the memes?
This is incorrect. A meme is not necessarily an image macro. And an image macro is generally a representation of a meme, not the meme itself. But let's go with this.
So, a bit like Egyptian hieroglyphs then?
Something like that.
So your people make hieroglyphics depicting this accursed character, the one they call Karen. I wonder if... No,
What were you going to say?
I apologize. I don't mean to be cryptic. It's just that you've got me thinking. Have you spoken with any of the others about how they arrived here too? I really think you should. Go around and ask them what they remember and see if you notice any patterns.
You're being a bit coy.
I know. I just don't want to see what happened to Livia happen to you too.
What happened to Livia?
Up until a few weeks ago, she was a perfectly productive member of our little community, darning clothes and cutting hair. She was always so chatty, always seeking out newcomers and asking them where they were from and how they wound up here. And then, about a month ago, she suddenly changed. She withdrew, stopped working and became despondent, started muttering to herself. Galerius and I visited her to see how we could help, but she just looked at us with this haunted stare, called us bloodless shadows, and told us we were ignorant of some pattern. Look, it could be unrelated. Perhaps she simply fell ill. Or, as Galerius suggested, the weight of the Golden Rule was too much for her. But there is a small chance that she learned something, saw a pattern nobody else saw, and that it broke her. I just don't want to see that happen to you. So be careful, will you?
I'll be careful.
Thank you. Now, go and follow the thread of truth through this labyrinth, and come back to me if you discover any patterns.
I'll see what I can do. Is Livia the crazy old woman that's talking about Tartarus and Cerberus and so on? Do you know a way out of here?
I don't, I'm afraid. It seems to me we're exiled here until the gods judge us, one way or another.
What do you think about the Golden Rule?
I'm quite sure it's the work of the gods, which is strange because they've never been particularly concerned with our misdeeds, as long as we've kept the peace of the gods. We asked for blessings, for good health, bountiful harvest, military victory, and in return, we offer praise, wine, incense, or animals. But here, it seems they require much more of us. I find myself reminded of an especially pertinent tale from our great poet Ovid in his epic Metamorphoses. Would you like to hear it? It is rather long.
Why not? I have time.
Wonderful. It goes like this. Baucis and Philemon were an old married couple living a humble life in a small town. One night, the town gets a visit from a couple of vagrants. They go from door to door, asking for a place to stay the night. Of course, being vagrants, they're turned away sharply from house after house, 1,000 in all, until finally they come to the little cottage where Baucis and Philemon lived. Now, the kind old couple had very little to offer, but nevertheless, they invite these strangers into their house and offer them food, wine, and a place to stay. Immediately, the guests make themselves at home. They begin gulping down the old couple's wine, so much so that Baucis, the old lady, begins to worry they're going to run out. And then she notices something strange. Her wine pitcher keeps refilling itself, as if by magic. Realizing only a select few possess such powers, says to her husband, Philemon, "I think these men are gods in disguise." Immediately, the couple begins apologizing for offering such coarse wine, and the vagrants metamorphosize and reveal themselves to be Jupiter, the king of the gods, and Mercury, the trickster god. They confide they didn't mind the meager offerings. They were just pleased that someone in the town offered them hospitality. Then Jupiter says to them, "You have passed our test, but everyone else in this city failed, so we are going to destroy this place and everyone in it, except you, who we will grant a wish." So old Baucis and Philemon escape up into the mountains safely, and they receive their wish, which is for eternity together. Meanwhile, Jupiter carries through with his threat and wipes that city off the map. Some say the moral of that story is that we must all honor the sacred rituals of guest friendship, the reciprocal obligations owed between hosts and guests. But I like to think it's that we should always show compassion for those less fortunate than ourselves.
I totally forgot why you were telling me this story, which is remarkable because it was only like 3 minutes long. Or perhaps it's that the gods might kill you at any moment for failing their test, and they don't even have to tell you what the rules are.
A cynic philosopher might take that view, but it's not entirely invalid, I suppose.
What's the status of the election?
It must be completed by dusk, just the same as any other official business. It'll be between Sentius, the incumbent, and Malleolus, the challenger. Why do you ask?
I'd like to nominate Galerius.
I like the idea, but I know Galerius well, and his position has always been that he won't run unless Malleolus withdraws. It was only yesterday that he said to me he'd only ever run if it was absolutely necessary to make sure Sentius wasn't re-elected. So, I suppose if you'd like to see Galerius elected magistrate, you'd need to persuade Malleolus to withdraw somehow.
Who's allowed to vote?
All of the male citizens who are willing and able to attend. Unless they're running, of course.
Can I vote then?
Well, you're not a citizen yet. So, no, I'm afraid not. But if it's any consolation, there are other ways to influence the outcome of an election.
Such as?
By using whatever gifts the gods gave you. Nothing untoward, of course.
See, this would have been another excellent moment for me to be named Biggest Dickus. What's your role in the election?
I'm responsible for announcing it and making sure the procedures are followed.
Can I nominate another candidate?
You can, assuming they're eligible and willing to accept the nomination.
So I can't vote, but I can nominate somebody? Let's talk about something else.
Certainly.
I've been asking people about how they wound up here.
And did you notice anything? A pattern?
Nothing really.
Oh, well then. Keep asking people how they wound up here. I don't want us to rush to any conclusions yet. Livia's fate weighs heavily on my mind, and dictates we should be sure. Yes, you should ask the others first.
I should have found you earlier. I'll be going now.
Come back to me once you've acquainted yourself with the rest of our neighbors.
Oh, do I have to talk to everyone? I did not do it, Dooley. I believe you. Ish. That can't possibly be useful as a mirror. No, I don't believe that. Where's all the peoples? Silphium resin? An extremely valuable ancient Roman remedy for various afflictions.
Ah, a fellow traveler from a faraway land.
Indeed.
Greetings, I'm Georgius. It gladdens me to see another foreigner in our midst. We must stick together, you and I. And I must say, my sartorial friend, your clothing is most extraordinary. Leather boots in place of sandals, trousers with precise stitching, and such a curious design. I have traveled distant trade routes from the markets of Damascus to the farms of India. And never have I seen anyone dressed quite like you. Tell me, I must know. From which exotic part of the world do you hail?
I'm from beyond the edge of the known world.
Then you are an explorer, like me. Wonderful. You must have many stories to share. I cannot wait to hear them. We will have much time here to get to know one another. But for now, do you require assistance? I know you do not require clothing, so information perhaps?
Well, see, I'm going around teaching everybody about memes. Do you want to know about that? What's your story?
My story? How kind of you to ask. I am a tailor and I run the humble shop in the forum.
Why set up a tailor shop here?
You mean to say, with all the turmoil and terror of the Golden Rule and so few customers, why bother setting shop at all?
More or less.
I'll tell you, it is precisely because of the Golden Rule that I wish to remind my friends of the importance of looking one's best. I say, the more of our customs we preserve down here, the more we can preserve a semblance of normality, the better our chances of keeping our heads. Don't you agree?
I suppose so.
Oh, and there is another reason too. If we all end up as golden statues for future generations to marvel at, I don't know about you, but I would like to look my best.
Well, in that case, I would be working out and wearing no clothes, but
Don't you
to
just
each his
love
own.
Springtime?
How
did you end up here?
A good question. A very good question indeed. And I would be happy to tell you if only I could remember it clearly myself.
Why don't you tell me what you do remember?
I remember I had just been to Rome to sell an extraordinary selection of wares, and drowning in coin, I decided to celebrate my success. I rented a prestigious villa by the Tiber, invited over a few select friends, and we began making our way through some of the most exquisite wine money could buy. Quite a lot of it, in fact. Now, I have had visions and awoken in strange places before. I have even found myself naked in the desert sands more than once, but none of that compares to this. This time, I remember people screaming, then falling into a void as empty as time before creation, gasping for air, and then nothing. When I regained my faculties, I was lying naked by the banks of the Tiber, gods know how many miles from my villa.
So you floated down the Tiber.
Indeed. I'm lucky I was carrying a little extra weight. I believe it kept me afloat. In any case, it seems I'd been rescued and resuscitated by a benevolent stranger. I went to find firewood for his campfire, stumbled across a cave, and discovered that trapdoor temple. And here I am.
Was that stranger named Karen? Let's talk about something else.
Anything you like.
Do you know a way out of here?
Shh! Not so loud. What are you playing at?
Did I say the wrong thing?
Have you not been told about the last attempt?
The last attempt?
Oh, then I suppose this duty falls to me. It is a long story.
It's not as if I'm going anywhere.
Aha, you are witty. I like that. Of course, the first question any of us asks when we first arrive is, how do I escape? It is only natural after all. And scaling the chasm wall is out of the question, for it is simply too steep and too far. But as they say, if the wind fails, use the oars. And here the second option is to leave the way we came in, through the shaft above the bathhouse. See, the shaft is quite high, but if one gathered up enough wood, one could make a series of ladders and climb one's way out.
Why hasn't anyone done that yet?
They have. I am getting to that. There was an attempt, made by resourceful fellows who lived here some years ago. They even decided to keep records of their escape attempt for posterity. Unfortunately, as soon as they began to carry the first ladder down the hallway, they heard a godlike voice shake the entire city, and that, tragically, is where their tale ends. So it seems that to merely attempt escape is to invite the wrath of whichever god oversees this place, and so I say it is best to not even discuss it aloud.
Got it. What do you think about the Golden Rule?
Ah, yes. The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Today is a sad
As a
day.
Greek, this is nothing new to me. It is how our gods operate.
Why do you say that?
Have you not heard the tale of the god Hades? He was the first to learn this dreadful lesson when he abducted Persephone and imprisoned her in the underworld. When Demeter, the mother of Persephone, learned of this, she did not punish Hades, the guilty one. Instead, she changed the climate of Earth so that it became hot and dry. Nothing grew. The grain turned to empty husks and the rivers dried up. Innocent people died by the tens of thousands until at last the other gods were forced to act, lest they have no worshippers left. So yes, we know this rule. This has always been the case. The Golden Rule has merely brought it into focus.
What can we do about it?
If we are to survive, I say we must each heed the simple wisdom of Thales of Miletus, first of the 7 sages of Greece, who said, "Avoid doing what you would blame others for doing."
Easier said than done.
Regrettably, I think you are correct, my friend. For even if 99% of us adopt this principle, that will never be enough. Sadly, no matter how well we protect ourselves, the life's work of many good people can be undone in the blink of an eye by a single selfish act.
I've seen it happen.
Ah, the voice of experience. I am sorry for your loss, my friend. But on a lighter note, I will say one thing for the Golden Rule. For all their grim and haunting poses, these golden statues do make magnificent models for my clothing, do they not?
They would make good models if they were naked. You can't just put clothes on over clothes. I don't really care who you're going to vote for. I'll be going
that our
now.
paths cross again soon, my friend.
And with that, we are all out of time for episode 3. So come back and see me again in episode 4 for more conversations, and I suspect more stories of people who were dragged out of the river by a stranger. Talk to you soon.